Hello everyone. We are in our third week of the summer term. Last week we looked at Victorian toys. This week we will be looking at more Victorian toys and comparing them to toys we have today. Will they be similar? Before we begin, let's have a look at some keywords to help us understand our topic. Compare. Compare means to examine something for a similarity or a difference. For example, if you were to buy a bike and you were looking at two bikes, you would be comparing them to see which one is better. Event. An event is a thing that happens or takes place, especially one of importance. For example, every year we have a Harris Academy Sports Day. This is an event. Timeline. A timeline is a way of organising historical events in order. Century. A century is a period of 100 years. We are in the 21st century, so the 20th century would be 100 years ago. Here is an image of a timeline. A timeline is a graphical representation of events in a period of time. Most of the time these events are in chronological order, which means in order from earliest to latest. So here we can see we've got the 20th century, which was before the 21st century. And this bar represents progress in time. A timeline will always be in order of when something happened. So whatever was invented or happened first will be on this end of the timeline, and whatever happened last would be at this end of the timeline. So this is a timeline of popular toys in the 20th and 21st century. Here we can see the popular Victorian toys played within the 20th century. And we're going to add to this timeline as we're going to compare and look at toys that were popular in the 21st century, which is today. Now on this timeline, I haven't put them in order of when they were created because some toys were made in the 19th and 18th century. Remember, a century is a period of 100 years. This timeline is just to show the progress of toys that were popular. Let's have a look at the toys we looked at last week. Are they popular today? Let's have a look at the Victorian doll. Can anyone think of toys that are similar to these types of dolls? Pause this video and have a think. Brilliant. So as we can see, we do have modern dolls that children play with today. We have the very famous and popular Barbie dolls that lots of girls like to play with. And we have the baby Annabelle that is very popular today also. So they're very similar because they are dolls. They are dolls that children play with. However, the material that they're made out of will be different. So, for example, these modern dolls will be made out of plastic. And these dolls here would have been made out of, or might have been made out of, china. Let's have a look at the second Victorian toy, the tea set. Let's have a look. We can see we do have similar toys to a tea set. We have a plastic toy set, and we have many of them, and they are very popular. Again, they're very similar. They are the same toy, but the material is different. As you can see, that The modern day tea set is plastic, and this again might have been made out of china or bone. What about books? Do we read books today? Well, of course we do. We have many books available today and they are still extremely popular. We have books like The Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson. Reading is something that children do daily, and yes, it's educational, but it is seen to be a toy because it is very enjoyable and fun. Books are colourful and they're full of life and they rhyme and they're very engaging. Again, you can see that they are very similar, they have a similar purpose, but they are different. They have probably made out of different material, and of course they are more coloured. Let's continue to look at more popular toys that were played in the 20th century, so over 100 years ago, and let's see if we still play with them today. Let's look at crayons. Crayola crayons were invented by Binney and Smith in 1902 and first offered for sale in 1903, so in the 19th century. A crayon is a stick of coloured wax, charcoal and chalk used for writing and drawing. And yes, today we still use crayons. Pause this video and chat to the person next to you. Which crayon set looks the oldest? Pause this video and have a think. Well done. It is the top image. Teddy bears were created in 1902 in America when the president did not want to shoot a bear on a hunting trip. His name was Theodore Roosevelt. His nickname was Teddy. A cartoonist drew a cartoon of him and the bear. A shopkeeper then made a bear and put it on the shop window, and it called it Teddy Bear. People then started buying teddy bears. And of course, teddy bears are still very popular, still a very popular toy today. There are many types of bears to choose from. One very exclusive and popular bear you would find in Harrods, it's called Build-A-Bear, where you can create your own bear. Can anyone guess which is the oldest bear? Good job, it is this one. Meccano is a model construction system created in 1898 by Frank Hornby. The system consists of reusable metal strips, plates, wheels and gears and plastic parts that are connected by using nuts and bolts. It enables the building of working models and mechanical devices. So say, for example, a child wants to build a toy train. They can do so with these parts and they'll put them together. So this picture here is a Victorian Meccano toy. And of course this one on the right is a newer version, a 21st century toy of Meccano. And this toy here will help you build a car. Meccano is still very popular today. Again, you can see that they're the same game, but probably have different materials used for the parts, and of course the newer version will have more models, so I'm sure you can build planes, trains, cars, trucks, whereas before in the Victorian time there was only a limited collection. So we've had a look at some Victorian toys and compared them to the toys we have today, and we've noticed that they are still very similar. But one difference is that we use different materials now because more materials are available. So if we look at this timeline, we can see in the 20th century, all the toys that were popular. And in the 21st century, we can see that all the toys that are popular now. Pause this video and again have a go at looking and comparing the toys that were popular in the 20th century and toys that are now popular, still popular in the 21st century, meaning today. Your task now is to take the short quiz on comparing toys.